So as promised in my last video, the Overdrill Solo build that I used, this is pretty much a great build for any Deathwish Solo heist, with a couple of things that you can tweak to suit the actual heist, but the bare bones of it remains the same. What I'm going to do is go over it in a little bit of detail and show you. No need for gameplay at the end of this one. If you do want to see it in full action, you can go back to my last video. It will be linked in the description, and like I said, it's Overdrill Solo. It was a 2-hour video, and this build really held me up and kept me going. So let's jump into it. Actually, you can see here that it's a variation of a massive tank build. I'm using the ICTV, using the muscle perk deck. Now, I love the muscle perk deck, one of my favorites. So when I'm running tank, this is what I always use. And really what I really want from this is the 800-pound gorilla at the end there. Not only do you get additional health, but you regenerate 3% of your health or life every 5 seconds. That's fantastic. It's always great when you're running something like that. It means that you don't need grinder or anything like that. You get huge amounts of health, huge amounts of armor. You're able to run the ICTV with a couple of skills too, and you get massive health benefits from it, and you're able to regen at the same time. So that is amazing. Let's jump into it. You can see I have it titled Overdrill here because this was my specific. Now, one thing I mentioned in my Overdrill video is that although this is kind of a regular build that you can use for a Deathwish Solo heist, there are elements of it that you would probably change if you were to do something, say, like Hoxton Breakout Deathwish Solo. So let's jump into it, and I'll go through it now. I'm going to skip straight to Enforcer to begin with, because you can see this is where the majority of points are spent. In fact, pretty much, I would say like 80%, 90% of my skill points are spent in here. Now, I am going to be using a shotgun. I'm using the Raven shotgun because you get a lot of ammo in that thing once you're fully loaded and you get the right attachments on it. So I'm going to be running a ton of shotgun skills. Underdog, always love that one. That's great when you're in the middle of things. Shotgun CQB, getting that reload faster. And then Shotgun Impact, getting that extra damage and extra stability at the same time. And then jump in over these two. I don't actually like these. These are, to me, they're okay, but they're not really worth spending the points on. You don't really get much benefit. But Overkill is a huge one. You only need to basic this one when you're only using a shotgun, but you receive a 75% damage increase for 20 seconds, which is massive. The damage on a Raven isn't that high to begin with, but once you get one kill, for 20 seconds after that, you're getting a 75% damage bonus. So we can do a bit of math when we look at the weapons itself. Resilience, want to reduce the flashbang effect, increase armor recovery rate. Die Hard, taking 50% less damage while interacting. No need to ace this because we're not wearing a ballistic vest. So the ICTV does not count as a ballistic vest. This is a waste. No need to ace it. Transporter. This one's always good, especially when you're running a heavy armor. You get that, once this is ace, you get the movement penalty reduced by 1% for each 10 armor points. And then being able to throw bags further. These are what I would have in a normal build anyway, but for Overdrill, with the 70+ bags, it's pretty paramount that you take this one. Shock and Awe, increase the recovery rate of you and your crew by 25%. Now, once this is ace, this is actually pretty vital on a Deathwish Solo build. Enables your weapons to have a chance to knock back shield enemies when attacking them. Ranged weapons knockback chance is increased. The higher the total damage the weapon is, melee weapons knockback chance is 100%. So you don't really need a high explosive round or a grenade launcher to only take care of shields now. You can just shoot them with your shotgun and it knocks them back, and you'll see a lot of that in the gameplay. So very important to take this one. Bullseye, another great one for extra armor. I always go for headshots anyway. If you look at the gameplay, I'm semi-accurate, so I can keep this pretty much going and going and going. You regenerate 5 armor for each successful headshot, and then once this ace, you get an additional 20. So you're getting 25 armor each headshot. Can't occur more than once every 2 seconds. And then, of course, going Iron Man, total armor value increased by 30%, which is huge. But of course, we want this ace for the ICTV and get that big armor upgrade. Then, of course, when you're solo, you want Scavenger too. You want all of the ammo specialist ones here to keep you fully loaded. No pun intended. Scavenger, your ammo box pickup range is increased by 50%. Not that great, but every 6th enemy that you kill will drop an extra ammo box, which is massive. Extra lead. So in my build that I'm showing you here, I actually take 2 ammo bags. I think it's very important that you do not run out of ammo. When you're solo and you're running with no AI, health perks really don't count for anything. Inspire and everything like that is pretty useless. So all the points that I would normally spend over there, I'm spending here. And then each ammo bag contains an additional 200% ammunition, so that's huge. Saw Massacre, I only needed to spend 3 points to get up to here, so I had to buy something. If I bought one of these, it would be 2, and I would still need to spend 1 point. So I just went for Sword Massacre just to get fully loaded. Your total ammo capacity is increased by 25%. That's great in itself, but once it's ace, now this became pretty vital too when I was doing Overdrill. Now, increases the amount of ammo you gain from ammo boxes by 75%. You also gain a 5% base chance to get a throwable from an ammo box. And I was using Molotovs to be able to cut off the choke points in the last section of the vault there. The base chance is increased by 1% for each ammo box you pick up that does not contain a throwable. So every time that a ammo box is dropped down, you get a 5% chance. And now every time you don't pick one up, it increases by 1%. So every now and again, that's going to keep increasing, and you are eventually going to get a Molotov, a grenade, a stick of dynamite, or whatever you're running in one of those pickups. So that is absolutely fantastic, and you'll see it in action in the build in the Overdrill video itself. So that is pretty much the majority of my points. Let's look in Mastermind real quick. Now, these are the ones that I guess are kind of an alternative if you do or do not want to run them. So I took Stable Shot because I had an extra point left over at the end, but you gain 8% weapon stability, which is great. Doesn't really hurt you much. It's actually quite a bonus when you're running shotguns. Forced Friendship. Now, I like this ace, and I wouldn't use this on a heist like Hoxton Breakout, or maybe you would if you are, on day 2 it might be useful, but I'm no good at keeping hostages or guards alive. So once this is ace, you and your crew gain half damage absorption for each hostage you have. This effect stacks to a maximum of 8 hostages. So basically what this means is that you can have up to 8 hostages and you will gain 4 health or damage absorption if you've got 8 hostages. So I knew on going into this that in the vault downstairs in the back, that there's going to be 2 civilians back there. So I knew that I was going to be able to keep those tied up. And I figured that at the beginning, if I could get 1 or 2 hostages behind the teller line, that I could also keep those alive too, because the cops don't go behind there that often. And I was able to keep, I think, 5 hostages throughout the 2 hours of gameplay. So I don't know if it really helped me or not, but I mean, when you're playing for 2 hours and you've got to concentrate for that long, any kind of damage absorption help that you could possibly get is going to be helpful. That's what I thought. So I only spent, what is that? It's only going to be 4 points to get that ace. Not too bad. And then I just took Confident because I just wanted to be able to dominate guards at the same time. So increasing intimidation range by 50%, and the power of it is going to help me on that too. So these are pretty much variable, but I do like this one. Certain heists you wouldn't use these, but I think it was pretty important to use on this one. Technician. In the actual heist, because I did this as a level 98, so I didn't have my 120 skill points. But what I did just pick up was Kickstarter Basic, so I didn't actually have this additional 20% chance to automatically restart, but I did go into the heist with Hardware Expert and Drill Sergeant Ace. Now, I had to get this one in order to go up to the next one. I didn't want to spend the points that I spent here down here, because I'd rather have Saw Efficiency than I would a 10% chance to automatically restart. So I took this extra 30% chance of restart, because you have to kind of set the drill and forget it. Now, there are some heists that you wouldn't need drill skills on whatsoever. Again, Hoxton Breakout would be a prime example. So the points that you're spending here could be well invested into either more shotgun skills if these are your thing, or maybe some assault rifle skills if that's your thing, or if you want to go into, I mean, I like to do Deathwish Solo, proper solo with no converted guards, but you could do it this way if you like to. You could also go the silent killer route if you wanted some more damage on your guns at the same time, if you didn't want to use drill skills. But for me, drill skills was necessary to get into the vault area at the beginning of the heist. Next, we're going to look at Ghost. Now, I want to get up to shockproof here. I always love having duck and cover basic here. No need to get this ace, because I don't think that dodge actually works while you've got the ICTV on. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But if there's only you on the heist anyway, I mean, 10%, a 1 in 10 chance of getting missed for dodge while you're sprinting, not really that big a deal. So not when you're wearing as much armor as I'm wearing. Then parkour, gain a 10% additional movement speed, which is pretty good when you're running the ICTV. You're slow as hell anyway, so any increase you can get is pretty important. But I really wanted to get shockproof. There are only on Deathwish a few enemies that can really kill you, and it's the special enemies. But cloakers on Deathwish Solo, as long as you're not running any AI, they will not kick you. They'll only shoot at you. And their guns are pretty weak, to be honest, so they're not really an issue. Shields, we've got that other skill in the Enforcer tree that allows us to shoot the shields and knock them back, and then we can just take a shot at their body. from behind the shield, and then they're done. So it's really just dozers and tasers. Now, with bulldozers, I generally try and stay away from them because a couple of shots and you're done, even with heavy armor. But tasers can stop you in the middle of a group of people, and then everyone's just firing at you. So if you can do anything to stop tasers, then I would take it, especially running solo. So that's why I get this aced. When tased, the shock effect has a pretty much a 1 in 3 chance to backfire on the taser, knocking them back, so they'll just let you go 1 in 3 times. And then when tased, you're able to free yourself from the taser by interacting with it within 2 seconds of getting tased. So, like I said, any help you can get with tasers, the better. Next, we're looking Fugitive, and all I got here was martial arts. Now, I got this one pretty early on in when I was setting this build up, because if you're solo, you're interacting with things, you're in the middle of things, there's guards all around you, there's cops everywhere. They will hit you, and it really, really hurts like hell if you don't have this. So taking 50% less damage when you're in the middle of shit going off, this actually makes quite a big difference. So for 1 point, you can't fault it. So there we go, that's 100 points, 120 points spent. Got nothing left over. Like I said, you could take away, if I was to take anything away for a heist, I'd take away the drill skills, and I'd probably go silent killer or low blow. Probably low blow. And then if I've got anything else that I could take out, maybe these I would get rid of and see if I can make my way up to silent killer here and get this extra 30% damage on silenced weapons. So that is that. Let me show you the build that I'm running as far as weapons go. So like I said, Raven shotgun. You get a lot of range on this. I'm using the flechette ammo just to gain some extra accuracy. The -3 damage, not such a big deal. I've got the long barrel on, which actually gives me 4 extra in the magazine, more accuracy, more stability. The barrel extension. You could use a suppressor if you're going for the silent killer. You would get like that 30% extra boost. I'm going for this, not really for the damage, but more for the accuracy. So I've got a high accuracy of 72 and stability of 72, so those are pretty high. The damage, I'm up to 105. Now, if I did have silent killer, that would be up to 130, because I'd get an extra 30%, or like 132. And then remember that I've got the overkill skill in the Enforcer tree, that once I kill an enemy for 20 seconds, I've got a 75% damage bonus. So as it stands right now, I'm going to be doing 170, well, maybe 180, 185 damage with overkill activated. So massive, massive increase in damage there. Got a boost on there of stability, not really that important. Got a gadget on there for a little bit more stability, and no sight, because I think the sight on it is fine. And that is pretty much it. That is the build. You will see it in action if you want to take a look at my Overdrill Solo video. And that is it, boys. Enjoy.